Hello everyone, welcome back to my art room. I'm Danae. I'm happy that you're here with me today. Today I'm going to do some gel printing and some painting of papers using only black and white. So this is a black I've mixed myself. It starts with a base of black and then I add all different colors to it, any color I want, and it just makes it a really interesting and vibrant black. And I have Lucas Krill Studio Titanium White. I love Lucas Krill. They're a great paint company. So this is kind of what inspired me. I have this pack of paper. It's drawing paper by Strathmore. It's 6 by 9 inches and it's 60 pounds. And I was thinking it would look really cool to just do white on top of the black. So that was kind of where I started my thinking. So I have some of that. I've also pulled out some tissue paper. This is a mix of gift wrap tissue and wet strength tissue. Both work really well on the gel plate. You just have to be really careful with the gift wrap tissue because it's very fragile. This is tracing paper, which I love to use. It's like wax paper. It's very thin. And it will go mostly transparent when you use a medium in collage. I also just have some regular copy paper, and then I have some black gift wrap tissue as well. So this is very fragile, and I'll see how it works. It might do well, it might not. We just have to experiment and see. And then I also pulled out some newsprint. So this is Blick's newsprint, and this is 9 by 12. I love newsprint. So it will add a neutral color to the black and whites because the paper isn't perfectly white. You can see here the white against the newsprint. It's got that brown, kind of beige. So yeah, we'll see. Join me and let's see what we can create today. So I'm going to get started with my black acrylic paint and roll it out using my brayer. Black is always generous. You only need a little bit of black and it's going to make a nice deep color. And here's my first stencil, which I'm going to pick up using some tissue paper. This is fun because you can really see in all of those little places if the paint has come through all the little openings. But you do have to be careful with tissue paper, especially if it's gift wrap tissue, that you don't leave it down for too long because it will dry and then stick to the stencil. And I'm picking this up with some tracing paper. Now, I don't show all the time invested in this. Oh, and I've just tried to pick up some more paint off of the stencil. So anytime I've put my papers down on the gel print, I've let them sit anywhere from like 3 to 5 minutes typically. All of that has been edited out. So, the magic of YouTube makes it look almost instantaneous. But I've just edited out the wait time, and I've edited out some of the time I spend like applying pressure to the paper as well, just because nobody really wants to watch that for 3 minutes. So, in most cases, I've applied the paper, I've pressed it down, but now I'll edit the video so that I keep pressing it down and I'm waiting 3 to 5 minutes. It really just depends on how thick the paint is on the plate and the paper that I'm using to pull it up. So
And how hot your room is will make a difference as well. I live where it's quite warm still, so my room usually has a lot of sun and a lot of heat and humidity. So that also means I will adjust sometimes. So this is trial and error for your area, for your art space. If you're finding that your papers are not picking up well, then maybe look into adjusting the thickness of the paint or how long you leave it to dry before you pull the paper off. So here I am again. I love that I can see through into all of those little tiny places to make sure that the paint is getting picked up. But again, this is tissue paper, so I want to be fairly quick and pull that print before it starts to stick to the stencil. And I'm using again the tracing paper. The wonderful thing about this tracing paper is that when I use this paper in a collage, which is what I use my gel prints for, um, the tracing paper goes almost completely transparent. So it left a lot on the plate, so I'm just going to use some titanium white to pick up the print and clean the plate off altogether. This looks like I'm using some newsprint, which is wonderful on the gel plate, especially if you are a beginner or you like to experiment a lot and you don't want to buy expensive paper. Buy newsprint. It is a wonderful medium substrate for gel printing. And even if you're just practicing, the prints that you pull from it, you'll be able to use them. They're just really lovely. So here I've switched to my black tissue paper. And in my intro, I said it was gift wrap tissue, but I actually think it might be wet strength tissue. Just based on my experience with it now that I've used it some more, I may have bought wet strength tissue, but I just don't remember. And it doesn't have a label on the packaging it came in. So I have a feeling this is wet strength black tissue paper. But look at that print. Oh, beautiful. So I've gone back to my black paint now. You can really see where my light is. Half is shiny and half is in shadow, it looks like. So it goes. So it goes. I did quite a few in retrospect with this. Oh yeah, my paper moves. And then I'm like, oh, now my print is messed up. So that was disappointing. I tried to kind of get it back lined up as best I could and get some more of that paint, but yeah, that was disappointing. But I use this stencil a lot in retrospect, and I do wish I had maybe pulled out a few more because I ended up with a lot of prints with this little pattern, which is a beautiful pattern. But it would be nice to have had a little bit more variety. So this is coming back to the tissue paper, and you can see it left a lot of paint on the plate. There are some beautiful places, but there are also some places where the paint just didn't get picked up. So I'm coming back to titanium white and I'm using my cards. And I'm just using this in case paint came out in between where the cards are, just to help keep my hands a little bit clean. And with this cardstock, I definitely waited 5 minutes and possibly even longer. Could have been more like 10 minutes just because it's a heavier, thicker card. But look, it pulls completely off the plate and it makes a beautiful print. And then with this extra space here, I could have just laid down more paint and done another print with it. But I decided instead to just do some scribble writing because that's always fun to use in a collage. And the contrast is really, really cool. So this is back to my tissue paper, and I'm just using this paper roll to stamp some circles. I mean, circles are like universally good in all situations. So having some good circles at your disposal for collage, I don't know, I kind of feel like that's a no-brainer. We want some circles. So now I can cut out individual circles, I can use rows of circles, I can use the whole thing of there's lots of options. So I've come back now to my card, the cardstock, it's the drawing paper. And that printed beautifully. And now I have this background that I'll pick up the paint I have left, which made a really interesting print. It looked to me like it was an open book page, so I decided that I wanted to put something on the opposite side. And I kind of went for like a reverse image. So whereas the print currently has black crosses with a white painted background, this one will have the black background and the white crosses. And this did actually take a long time to dry because I put so much paint on those white crosses. So this was definitely 10 minutes of waiting. And I would just kind of check it occasionally to see if the paint was sticking. And then I would, just pull up a tiny little corner and see what was going on. And if there was lots of paint still on the plate, then I would just put it back down, press it down really well and leave it for some more time. And here I'm doing some white crosses on that tracing paper, which will go translucent when I use it. If you use the tracing paper on a really high contrast background, you might see some of that paper. It really just depends on the color on the tracing paper, the color underneath the tracing paper. But it's really fun. And if you've not used tracing paper in your collage work, it's great. Get some and experiment with it because it's really fun to use. And this turned out beautifully. Just the contrast, the high contrast, the white and the black. I'm just so happy with all of these papers. I think they all turned out really lovely. So here's my amazing little haul of black and white papers and all of the different papers and stencils that I used. I am going to do a collage with these, which will be published in a couple of days. So stay tuned for that video. I have a little book of black paper that I use to experiment and to play with these collage papers. So look for that in a couple of days if you're watching this live. And if you're not watching this live, then there's a good chance the video has been linked in the description box below. These papers turned out really fun. I especially love the white paint on the black tissue. And I wish I had done more. I obviously can still do more different patterns. And see, I love these opposites where it's the ghost, it's the one I pulled, and then it's the ghost. So I had a lot of fun making these papers. Thanks for joining me. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. And here are some more videos that might be lots of fun to watch. I'll see you next time. Bye.